And she's here today, or I should say show us some stretching techniques. Welcome back.
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So tell us about what you do.
Well, yoga therapy is fairly new, especially in Canada, even though internationally it's a little bit more recognized. So basically I'm a yoga instructor, first off, and I've been a yoga instructor for over 14 years. Then this yoga therapy is an additional training. It's an additional minimum 1,000 hours of training on top of being a yoga instructor. And it's more training in anatomy and physiology, so that we're able to work with specialized conditions that people might have and able to interact with your medical team. Yeah.
So it's not just doing like a dogwood pose, right?
No, a downward facing dog. No. It's a little more specialized than that. So a lot of people I work with, it's more almost rehabilitation in the nature. So, I've worked with, some athletes that say, have something going on with their knees, or I work a lot with mental health challenges, people that are dealing with anxiety, depression, PTSD. And then also things, support for, people that have things like diabetes and that. And so what we do is we really use the yoga context of, mind, body, spirit when we're working with people. So it's a very holistic way of working with people. Yeah.
It's wonderful. And what do you like most about what you do?
I'm just the people. It's so great being able to really work one-on-one with people, because the average time spent with me is an hour, and what that does, it really gives me an opportunity to really get to know somebody and how I can really help them. And everybody's a little different. Some people need more physical help. Some people need more a mental health or spiritual help. So I get to do whatever's needed, so it's really great. I don't follow just one protocol. Whoever's in front of me, I adjust my practice for them.
That's wonderful. And here
Thank
you
you.
are on the front cover of BC Yoga magazine.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you're going to show us some stretching techniques. So we're going to be right back after this break. Welcome back, everyone. And before we do any stretching techniques or tips that you're going to show us today, I want to talk a little bit about the book. It's called Healthy Living. You co-authored it?
I co-authored it, yeah.
So tell us about it.
In it is, like our last segment, it was really more in-depth, and we talk a lot more about breathing.
Breathing.
Yeah, breathing. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
And where can you buy it?
You can buy it on Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. So what I thought we would talk about today, I think, most of your viewers know the importance of stretching, but for me, I see a lot of techniques sometimes for people that they're making really simple and common mistakes. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the common mistakes I see people make, and how they can just tweak them and make them a little bit better. So the one that I really see the most is with hamstrings and hamstring things. So you and I talked about that at the beginning, and maybe if you could maybe show your viewers right now one of the more common mistakes and just turn sideways for us. So what we often see for a lot of people is that, they think the goal really is to touch the toes, right? I mean, of course, everybody wants to touch their toes. We know that. So what often happens is that people, when they're reaching down, and I'll just demo for you here, is that they end up sort of rounding in through their back and almost sort of tucking their tailbone under. And, when they go further and further and further down, and really what they're doing is they're really stretching their back and not really stretching their hamstrings so much. So we want to really focus on where are the hamstrings inserted, where do they start? And they really start at the sits bone. So if we show you on our skeleton here, they're the two bones in the bottom of our buttocks. And so if you place your hands there, and I know this is a little but if you actually sort of bend your knees and lean forward, kind of like a jackknife, just let go of, straight legs, you can actually feel that these bones spread apart significantly, and they really open up. So when you're stretching in a forward fold, or even, on your back or anything like that, you want to think of where does this begin. So when you're hinging forward, and we'll get you to do this now, is you want to just kind of let the knees be soft, and then you really want to sort of open up those sits bones and really hinge forward. And again, we'll get you to just bend your knees a little bit more for me. There you go. And then just place your hands, and then just going as far forward as you can comfortably, and really focus on these two bones in your buttocks, and then the length in the spine. And then you can walk out the backs of the legs by sort of alternate straightening each one at that point there. And you can see that, you know, she's got some length in her spine, and it's going to be a much more effective stretch coming up through the back of the legs.
Oh, I feel the stretch.
Yeah, great.
Oh, it feels good.
Yeah, it feels really good. So the second most common mistake that people make is in the seated position. So we're going to get you to show your viewers again what that looks like. So you again, you know, you can see she's almost touching her toes, but really, you know, through the rounding of the back, and you can even see through her pelvis that her tailbone is almost tucked under. So really, all you're really stretching here, Christine, is really your upper back.
Yeah.
And you're not really getting the backs of the legs where you want the stretch to be. So it's really simple to fix this. The first is to really sit on top of something. You may not need 2 blankets, but the option's there and it's nice for you. So we'll just do that for you. We'll get you up on 2 blankets. Now, the intention is to perch onto those 2 sits bones again, and then reach back and pull the extra flesh. And what you'll find is that your belly button and your pelvis automatically kind of tip forward, and that puts you in a better alignment altogether. And you can actually even feel a better stretch here. And then what you do is you really think of reaching up through the crown of your head, keep your shoulders relaxed, and think of leading forward from your belly button, and automatically you should be able to feel the 2 bones in your buttocks, those sits bones, spread apart. And you may not go as far down, but now you should be able to really feel that stretch in the bottom, in the hamstrings. Good.
And
great.
It's great.
Yeah, and it's really simple when you're at home to do that. Yeah. For some people, they might need to be up higher, and for others, they might not need much at all underneath them. But the idea is to really let the pelvis sort of lead the way so that the movement is more, you know, like a jackknife and not so much a rounding of the upper back. Because again, I mean, the goal is not really to touch the toes. Yeah, yeah.
This is good for your hamstrings.
It's good for your hamstrings, yeah, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so is there another one?
There's one more that we can do together, which is a very common mistake, and this time we'll have you lay down on your back.
Ooh,
so come on down onto the floor, yeah. And so just bend your knees for me, so once you're down. And then the most common mistake that we see, if you can get Christine to bring up her leg, is really that we get people lifting their bum off of the floor and thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing a great stretch here. You know, they're reaching up and they're grabbing that leg, and they might lift their forehead towards the knee. But again, we know that that hamstring attaches down into her sits bone. So what you want to do instead is to back off of that a little bit, and you might need a yoga strap at this point, right? And what you want to do, and we'll just get you to wrap your hands around the leg here, is instead of focusing on how far the leg can go towards you, what you want to do is at the same time, because you want to hit the head of the muscle, you want to reach that sits bone towards the floor as you're drawing the leg towards you, so that the entirety, so we'll get Christine to do that. So it's sort of a dynamic tension. So draw and push the sits bone towards the floor as you draw the leg towards you. And you can do that several times with breath. And it's like, oh wow, you can really, again, you're really affecting the head of the muscle, not just the belly of the muscle.
Wow, this feels great.
Yeah, it's a good stretch. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, it's like really beneficial.
Yeah, it's really beneficial. Yeah, because, you know, often again, we want to focus not just on the belly, but on the head of the muscle as well. And if you can sort of stay with that, in the long term, your flexibility will improve.
Well, great information, and thank you so much. And we'll be right back after this break.
Thank you.
That felt so good.
Oh, good.
I'm going to do another one.
Yeah.
And for more information, where can they go?
On my website, innerglowyoga.net. And